Good afternoon. Happy Monday. Welcome to today's episode of the Martinez Law Legal Lounge. I am Kristen Martinez. I'm the owner of Martinez Law. We are a full-service real estate law firm. We're not a title company. We don't handle any other type of law. We are the experts in real estate in the Wesley Chapel, Tampa Bay area. And one of my goals in creating the firm was to help educate the public, the community, and more particularly the real estate community to help keep you out of the courtroom. Nobody wants to have to call a lawyer because they are in a dispute with somebody, they are thinking about filing a lawsuit, or even worse, they've been sued and they need legal help to defend themselves. So these weekly episodes are one way that I am able to help educate real estate agents, others in the real estate community, to help keep you and your clients out of the courtroom. So I will be in a few minutes be answering your questions live. So please make sure to put those questions down in the comments and I will address them. I have a couple of questions that were submitted to me after last week's episode, so I will be addressing those as well. But as you have questions, go ahead and put those in the comments for me and I will be answering those live in a couple of minutes. Also, if you are joining us this afternoon, make sure to say hello in the comments. On my computer screen, I can't see if you are here with us today unless you comment. So I would love to acknowledge you and thank you for coming. So please leave me a comment if you are joining us this afternoon. One announcement that I want to go ahead and make: if you have been keeping an eye on our social media over the last week, you already know this, but I'll go ahead and announce it again. We are going to be moving. We have acquired a new office space. It is in Lutz. About 10-15 minutes from our current office space. So not a big move, but it is going to be a lot more space for us. As you know, we are growing. We are adding several new employees over the next couple of weeks, and we just need more space. So we will be moving as of hopefully the September-October timeframe. There are a lot of renovations that we need to do to make sure that our office space is ready for us. So we will keep you posted. Keep your eye on our social media, and we'll take you along for that renovation journey. But I wanted to give you that update. We also had 2 new employees start with us this morning. We had an associate attorney start. We also had a second administrative assistant join our team. She officially started this morning. And then we have a third employee, a paralegal, who will be starting on August 9th. So we haven't lost anybody. We've added 3 new employees, so we are growing in, which is why we need bigger office space. So we're very excited about those announcements. Sherry, hello. Thank you so much for joining us and checking in. Charmaine, thank you so much for joining us as well. Last announcement, our next Get Real with Attorney Martinez event will be on August 4th at 10:30 in the morning. This event will be by Zoom only. I will actually be lawyering from California that week, so we will not be having an in-person option for this event. That will resume starting in September, though. The topic for our August 4th event is going to be about issues with neighbors. So we're going to be talking about nuisance laws, easements, and trespassing issues. We get a lot of questions about those topics. We have several ongoing litigation cases about those topics. So we are going to be learning all about nuisance, easements, and trespassing on August 4th at 10:30. You can register via Eventbrite, or you can just send us a DM on either one of our social media pages, Instagram or Facebook, and we will send you the direct link to register for that. So again, thank you everybody who is joining us. Again, as you have questions, please make sure to go ahead and put those in the comments. I will be answering those live. Cornelius, thank you, from the Demps Law Firm. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. So as you have those questions, go ahead and put those in the comments for us, and I'll be sure to address them. I am going to go ahead and first address a couple of questions that were sent to us privately after our Legal Lounge last week, so I'll go ahead and get to those, and then we will address any questions that you have. So the first question that we had is, are you required or is it advisable to be represented by an attorney in connection with a real estate purchase transaction? So I get this question a lot, mostly from people relocating to Florida from out of state. There are certain states that require an attorney to represent both the buyer and a different attorney to represent the seller on all real estate purchase and sale transactions. Florida is not one of those states. So to answer your question, no, it is not required to have an attorney represent either party in a real estate purchase transaction. However, is it recommended? That is a hard yes for me. And yes, I'm biased. Yes, I'm an attorney. No, I'm not just saying that because I'm an attorney. A lot of the disputes that I handle, a lot of the litigation cases that we currently have open in our firm are because of the client not understanding or not reading the contract that they signed when they went to purchase or sell a home, or it was because the contract was sloppy. It was ambiguous. There was an addendum drafted that didn't address all of the specifics. The parties weren't on the same page, and when a dispute arose, the contract itself didn't resolve that dispute in a clear and specific way. And that is always the goal with contracts, is to make it specific enough so that both parties are on the same page no matter what situation arises. Now, can we do that perfectly in every situation? Of course not, but we can do a pretty darn good job of that, especially because a lot of my practice is litigation. I see every single day what people are fighting about, what people are suing each other over. And so those are things that we can help prevent in drafting the purchase contract. Now, I do hear a lot, well, the FAR bar contracts are standard contracts, so why do I need an attorney to draft a contract? You don't need an attorney to draft a custom contract in most cases when we're talking about residential purchase and sales transactions. Where an attorney is advisable and where an attorney will come in is to, number one, make sure that the client has read and, more importantly, understands what the contract states that they are signing. Again, most of the disputes that I get come through my office are because the client didn't understand the contract. They thought they could cancel it when they actually couldn't. They thought if their mortgage loan application was denied, they could get out of the contract. Little did they know the financing contingency deadline already expired, so they can't. So many things come up that clients don't know and clients shouldn't know at the outset of a transaction. And so having a good agent, a good real estate agent, is a very important piece of this, but agents are limited because they cannot give legal advice. And so I do think an attorney is advisable to make sure that the clients know what they're signing, they understand it, all of their questions are addressed, and then if there is anything that needs to be added to the contract or changed or any unique situation arises, which we're seeing a lot in this market, you have an attorney to professionally draft that contract language or that addendum language to make sure that it is legally proper and that is specific enough to avoid any disputes down the road. So that is my take on whether you should have an attorney in a residential purchase and sale transaction. A lot of people successfully close their transactions without an attorney, and that's what happens most of the time. But in those few cases where an issue does arise, if you had an attorney from the outset, you're much less likely to find yourself involved in a lawsuit. The second question that I got, and I'm going to go ahead and read it off of my phone here, kind of follows along these same lines. So the question is from an agent stating, I represent the buyer in a transaction and the seller has to go through a relocation company. Relocation company wants the contract to state, quote, if the home should underappraise, buyer will pay the difference in cash at closing, close quote. We are not attorneys and I feel like that verbiage is too vague. Are you seeing this a lot? So the answer is yes, that verbiage is too vague. The verbiage is, if the home should underappraise, buyer will pay the difference in cash at closing. So this is happening a lot here. We're seeing that the purchase price on the contract a lot of times is higher than what the home actually appraises for. So what do you do in that situation? And to be more competitive in this market, a lot of buyers are offering to cover that difference in cash. The problem with the language that was submitted in this question is it is extremely ambiguous, and it doesn't give any specifics as far as, what does underappraise mean? Does that mean it results in the loan being denied? By how much is the buyer willing to compensate for a low appraisal? If it underappraises by $50,000, is the buyer prepared to come to closing with $50,000 in cash? Maybe, maybe not. The problem with this language is no matter what that difference is between the appraisal and the agreed upon purchase price, the buyer in this case would be bound to come to closing with enough cash to cover that difference, whether it's $1,000 or $100,000. The buyer probably doesn't realize that. They probably think, well, realistically, I think the property's overvalued at about $10,000. I have about $15,000 I could bring to closing, so let's just put this language in there. It is not accounting, the buyer or the parties in this situation are not accounting for, what if the unexpected happens? This language is extremely ambiguous and does not account for many of the situations that could arise and could lead to a dispute. So that ties in with the first question that I addressed is, you need to have an attorney on board to draft the addendum language to make sure that we are anticipating possible scenarios, likely scenarios, and we are figuring out what the buyer and seller want to do in those scenarios on the front end before there's any dispute. Because once a dispute arises, it's much harder to do that. So I would not recommend such non-specific or ambiguous language. I would recommend having an attorney on board in that case to make sure that the language is crafted and customized to what is appropriate for that situation. Those were excellent questions. Thank you so much to all who are attending this afternoon. Please go ahead and put your questions in the comments so that I can answer them live. Thank you so much to those who have submitted questions after the episodes every week. I do save those questions and I will address those at the following week's episode. We are here every single Monday on Facebook Live at 12 o'clock to answer your questions. So as you're going through your week, questions come up, clients ask you questions, something wacky comes up in a transaction, jot those down, DM them to us, email them to me. I would be happy to address them at our next Legal Lounge event. I also create an event on our Facebook page every single week, so you can also drop your questions in there during the week, and I will save those and go ahead and address those as well. All right, I will do one last call for questions. I don't see any others in the comments. Again, thank you to those who are attending this afternoon and who have checked in with us. We'll give a couple more minutes for questions and then we'll go ahead and wrap up. We will be here next Monday, same time, same place here on Facebook Live, 12 o'clock for the next episode of the Martinez Law Legal Lounge. I hope you are off to a great start to your week. I hope you are having a productive Monday so far. I have been busy training our new hires that started today, so we are having an exciting start to our week. Very fun day in the office today, about to have a team lunch. So I will be heading off to that. Not seeing any other questions. Again, I thank you all for attending and for attending week after week. We will be here next week. I hope to see you then.